If this is gonna happen, I don't want to live here. I will go back to India and bring my kids back, and I'm happy over there.
I've met a lot of gays and lesbians here today. In fact, I've been an out lesbian since 1981. And never before have I seen such homophobia and misogyny in our culture.
If you want to be trans or lesbian or gay, I don't care. Go ahead. But that does not belong in our school system, and we will fight to keep it out as grandparents.
Nobody's here against the that community. Here people protesting to tell them like it's not for the school kids.
Sheila Gunn Reid for Rebel News here in beautiful Regina, Saskatchewan. I'm in the Queen City to cover just one iteration of the Million March for Children. Rebel News has a team of journalists deployed to cities all across the country to cover this demonstration in favor of parental autonomy, parental consent, and against the sexualization of children in the nation's classrooms. To sign the Rebel News petition against using Canada's classrooms as a petri dish for gender ideology to infect the next generation of Canada's children, please go to stopclassroomgrooming.com. Now, the reason I'm in Saskatchewan instead of Alberta today is significant. This prairie province has turned itself into a fortress, protecting parents' rights and children under the leadership of Saskatchewan Party Premier Scott Moe. Now, along with New Brunswick Conservative Premier Blaine Higgs, Moe has been leading the country on this very issue. Moe has even threatened to invoke the nuclear option, the notwithstanding clause, if activists choose to challenge his government in court on the issue of parental consent. Now, the uprising of concerned parents and citizens against the sexualization and indoctrination of children in the classroom by activists has been very organic, but it does have a man who is organizing the movement. Camille El Sheikh is the Muslim man whom the left and activist teachers and the mainstream media are calling a radical right-wing bigot for his defense of parents and children. For the first time in nearly 4 decades, an organized resistance to sexual activism in the classroom has formed. And because of this, teachers, unions, and activists are losing their marbles, taking to Zoom calls now to organize against parents, calling parents all manner of vile names, threatening to disrupt these peaceful demonstrations and undermine the relationships that parents have with their children. Look at this.
I know I've got 3 kids myself who are currently in the K-12 system who identify as trans. And I to steal a couple of their tactics in that when they are gathering for their tailgate party in the mall parking lot, we've got a couple of seasoned activists who've already said that they're willing to go over and, take some pictures of license plates and these are people who are willing to do this. They're people who are seasoned and make sure that they know that they're being watched, that they're not doing this in secret, that people are noticing what they're up to.
If we stand up to the bully will decide what to do. They will fight, fright, or flight, fight, or fright. And so let's give them some fright on September 20th, so that on September 21st till whatever, that they're working on the flight tactic.
It shouldn't, of course, be controversial to know what your child is learning in school and to demand to know if a teacher is helping your child transition their gender behind your back. But here we are in Canada in 2023. Now, because of these threats to disrupt, Rebel News journalists have had to hire professional security teams to make sure that we're safe in the field. If you'd like to support our security costs, please go to journalistdefensefund.com. Now, you just can't trust the mainstream media to get this story right. We saw what the media and the activists did with the anti-mandate freedom convoy, which was really the last time normal people stood up to those trying to control their lives. The media lied, labeled the movement as racist, and refused to contradict the liberal narrative they're paid to protect. I think we can expect much the same today.
What's going on in the world? Let him decide. Who are you to tell a 3-year-old, let's go paint the road? Do it. I won't stop you. Go do it on the lake. Go do it on the footpath there. I don't care. I'll support you maybe. But why do it at a school where our kids have gone to gain education, learn things? They probably spend more time with the teachers than they do with us as parents at home. And who they're going to follow? When I tell him, you know what, that's wrong, he's going to say, no, my teacher told me it's right, so it's right.
Dialogue and meaningful change. This is the epitome of Canadians working together as neighbours. And together, in this moment, across the nation of Canada, we are demanding an end to gender theory in public education and in public institutions.
Why was it important for you to come to the march today?
It was important to show solidarity with people who feel strongly about children just being kids, just leaving behind all the other political or ideological information. Kids can just play, be who they are.
It's important to speak at protests like this today, all the way across the nation of Canada, to give others a voice and to give them the confidence to say the things that they believe.
God said, let the little ones come to me, and don't stop them. And anything that stops them, I'm going to be there protesting against. That's the end. That's it. That's the children are the most important thing. They're our future. God love them.
We are here for our future of the kids, right? So our kids are having a different education which we don't want. We are here in Canada because we want a freedom and good life for ourselves, for our kids, right? So we are not safe, our kids are not safe. Then why we are living here anymore?
I don't think that gender ideology should be taught to children at such a young age, and that should be up to the parents, and the government should stay out of it.
I believe that going to this protest really brings us to, like, what do you call this? Bring unity for all. Like, we're just here to protest against sexuality of children in schools and stuff, yeah.
It doesn't belong in our education system. Our little kids are coming home mixed up and don't understand, and it's just wrong. It doesn't belong in education. Reading, writing, and arithmetic, and that's it.
So for me, it's important because I want to protect my kids and other kids in a community and in Canada. And it's so important because, like the schools are for like the educations, like how to be, like a progressive in the life, not about this kind of thing, especially like the sexual based curriculum is not suitable for kids. Like, there is a reason, there is like an age limit for this, right? Then why we have it in the school? So that's why we're protesting to tell nobody's here against the that community. Here people protesting to tell them like it's not for the school kid.
The labor union movement has painted this organic movement of parents and grandmothers and concerned Canadians as hateful and bigoted. How do you respond to that?
Well, they would do that because that is what they always do. And thanks to the leaked Zoom meeting of last week, we know that they coordinate. They are organized in working against us, in denigrating and intimidating and harassing parents. What do I have to say to them? How dare you?
This is absolutely crucial that we oppose this in the streets. And this is just signs that I've seen that we're rising, that this is far more than just like a far-right transphobic protest. They are fundamentally racist. They're fundamentally anti-union. They are fundamentally queer and transphobic. And it's just a matter of time before they come to us.
Now being under the guise of being led by parents, it's being led by the guise of being led by religious faith and some sort of ethnic communities. And we need to be supported, and we're all getting together and being disrupting and causing some good trouble.
We are wanting to show a very strong response, countering these protests, to show that, they even think that there's a possibility of bringing what's happening other places here.
Now, the labor union movement has said that these marches that are happening all across the country are hateful. How do you respond to that?
Far from it. They're out of love for the children. Yeah, the children, we need to march now so that the children have the freedom in the future.
Well, I think that's quite ironic because I've met a lot of gays and lesbians here today. In fact, I've been an out lesbian since 1981. And never before have I seen such homophobia and misogyny in our culture. For me to be able to go to a gathering of lesbians, for example, and not be with men is something that's impossible to find these days. The last gathering I went to of lesbians, we were booted out because the meeting was led by a man. who was clearly a man but had lipstick and kind of dominated the meeting and asked us to leave. We had to leave. So it's tragic, really. I don't think people really understand the bigger picture here of what's going on. It's a new misogyny.
I think it's their like agenda is they are thinking in that bit. It doesn't mean like what they are thinking that's right. It's their beliefs. The beliefs and reality is different, right? So they're believing in the wrong things, but reality is different. You see how many people are coming over here today, right? So they're not mad, like they're not like abnormal people, right? So if so many people in everywhere in Canada are getting together for their kids, so it means something is they are doing wrong, right?
Well, I'm clearly not a white supremacist, and everyone here is loving and caring, and we have members of the LGBTQ community here. We have members of the Sikhs. Everyone's come out to tell everyone to get their hands off our kids, leave our kids alone. It's our right, or I don't have any children, but if I had them, it should be my right to raise them with my beliefs and my ideologies, not what other people think.
Well, it's a really hard answer to that, but like if we were going to respond to these labor left unions, we're going to tell them like we are the fringe majority. That's all I can say though, yeah. And we are like in the educated level as well, yeah.
That kind of sexuality does not belong in our school system. If you want to be trans or lesbian or gay, I don't care. Go ahead. But that does not belong in our school system, and we will fight to keep it out as grandparents.
No, not at all. The thing is, like, I heard about it on TikTok, and I think they are being little triggered here that their propaganda is not being in place, like whatever they have planned is not. Now people are more like, awareness is more going on and people are more knowing about this, so they are taking a stand against this. So I guess they didn't like it. Because this is a peaceful protest, right? Then they should not be triggered about it.
Why this need to happen when they are only 2, 3 or 4 year olds? Why we cannot let their kids to their parents? They are the one who have the most interest in their lives, and they are the one who are the most worried person in the entire universe for themselves. So let these two be their parents to decide what they want their kids to be, and let them grow to 18 and they can decide for themselves what they want to be.
So parents are almost always the first and best defenders of their children's human rights because they want what's best for them.
Parents must be emboldened in this moment to assert their parental authority over their own families. Gender is a protected attribute here in Canada, but so is family status. You may not discriminate against a person in Canada for who they are related to. And for children and parents, this means each other.
I think part of the problem is that certain academic departments and think tanks and unions and I think maybe spiritual organizations have taken advantage of the fact that some people have been oppressed. I mean, trans rights are human rights. They're not women's rights. So things get distorted easily with passion and with injustice. And I'm just hoping that we can come to a place where we listen to each other again and have conversations and recognize that there's some beautiful discoveries in diversity.
For normally by myself, it's my personal perspective, not for everybody. If this is going to happen, I don't want to live here. I will go back to India and bring my kids back, and I'm happy over there. This is my personal, right? I'm not talking about anybody else. But I don't want to live here with my kids. I don't want to send them into school. Maybe I can teach them better than school teachers.
Stand up, speak out, have discussions around the table. It's time to get united, stop being divided the way Trudeau's been dividing us for the last ever. And get communicating with each other. You can't debate a topic if you're not going to talk about it, and you're just going to shut it down.
I feel like that we need to connect more in social media, like what we're doing right now. Since this protest is connecting like across the country, we are doing this to in solidarity to show our support against sexual and gender ideology in schools for children as well.
I guess this is what we have to do. We have to stand up. My sister and I aren't from Regina. We're from Weyburn. And we said we don't have a voice. Like, how do we let them know that we don't agree? we come here. We come here and we marched and made a sign for our grandchildren, because this is the only way we can change things, is to show them that, Mo, you're right. There's a majority of people that agree with you that this does not belong in the education system.
So first thing, like they always say that it's about like a that like, you know, gender, like the LGBT community gets like a bullied. So why don't we have a anti-bullied policy in the school? Because so far what I have heard is when kids tell teachers or principal about the bullying, nobody does anything about it, and it gets so far. So instead of teaching them about this, why don't we have an anti-bully policy in the school and teach them about how to respect everyone, instead of like teaching them sexual thing, right? So it's better to teach them about anti-bullying, like how to respect other things or other people, but not trying to tell them like, you know, okay, you're a boy, no, you know, you're a girl actually, because kids' brain are so sensitive. If you keep telling them something over and over again, they will start believing it. And that's what they are trying to do, and they should not do it.
I have 20 grandchildren, 7 great, and I'm concerned what they're being taught in school. So thank you for coming together, and it's all about parental rights. And I want to say to the media, we are not radical. We are not what you're portraying us, like in the National Post yesterday. That is totally wrong. We love the transgenders. We love them. But we have a right to our own opinion. Absolutely. And so let's go for it, and let's take this country back.
To add your name to the growing list of Canadians who are deeply concerned about gender indoctrination in the nation's classrooms, please go to stopclassroomgrooming.com.